Hello everyone, for today's video I have a full fusion themed moveset. If you have any moveset theme suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Any most thumbed up, any most interesting ones will be used for future videos. And of course if you enjoy these videos, please leave a like. So this has been requested quite a lot actually. I think I've had somewhere around 30 comments saying to do a fusion moveset, so I'm not going to show all the comments here, but thank you to everyone who suggested this. So for this moveset I wanted to use attacks that were exclusively used by fused characters. In Xenoverse 2, at the moment, there are only 4 fused characters, those being Super Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, Vegito and Gotenks. Now, I've already done a Super Saiyan 4 themed moveset, so I decided not to use any attacks from Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So that being said, let's look at what attacks I did decide to use. So firstly, we've got Die Missile Barrage, Pressure Sign, Super Mad Dance, and to finish off my supers, I decided to use Punisher Drive. For my ultimate, I decided to use Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack and Soul Punisher, and Vegito's Force Shield as my evasive, and for my walking skill, of course, Super Saiyan. So I picked Super Saiyan because, well, I mean, that's the only real transformation I could have for this moveset. Having Force Shield as my evasive is very tricky and very dangerous. At the end of the day, it's not really an evasive, it's more like a defensive skill, because you don't move anywhere and you just put up a key barrier, which does take 3 bars of stamina to actually activate it, and then it will proceed to drain your key, so it's not really the most efficient evasive to use. For example, if you're hit with Super Kamehameha, you will have to use your Force Shield or Energy Barrier, and that will drain your stamina and your key. So at the end of the day, I'll definitely recommend using something more simple, such as Instant Rise. Die Missile Barrage is a very decent super attack, so I've not really got anything to say there. Pressure Sign, honestly, is probably the best counter attack in the game, because it will activate at any angle, unlike Super God Shock Flash or Burst Rush. Super Mad Dance, I've said it before, it's probably one of the best super attacks in the game, especially if you pair it up with Super Saiyan or the Golden Form. Punisher Drive is just extremely flashy. I mean, it's a decent attack, but if I had Big Bang Kamehameha unlocked, which I still can't find in the TP mail store, I would use that instead. Soul Punisher as one of my ultimates, which is extremely hard to hit with, but it does do a fair amount of damage, so I guess that's fair enough. I've never really used Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack, even going back to Xenoverse 1. But it does have a very long activation time, but it is pretty decent. You can really make your opponent panic if you use Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack and go for a basic combo. Something I may do for a future video is something like a Key Shield moveset, and that will have attacks such as Maximum Charge, Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack, and Twin Darkness Star. So for this video, I decided to use my merged Burcol character. So I noticed that my opponent has Giant Storm. Giant Storm still has that bug where if you use it, then your opponent breaks your guard, it'll still hit them. This was also in Xenoverse 1, and I just hope it gets fixed in the future. With that being said, just make sure you know this when your opponent has it. So there I went for stamina break, he vanished and broke my stamina. This sent me flying back, so I've just got a free stamina reset pretty much. And this is exactly what I mean here. I break his guard, which should have cancelled out the Giant Storm attack, but it still hit me, and that took a lot of damage off me. So because of that, I really need to capitalise on the fact that I've broken his stamina bar. So I do a small combo, then set up the Super Ghost Kamikaze Attack. By the time it's actually set up, his stamina would have been recovered, so I'm now preparing for when he does have a full stamina bar. And as you can see here, they will occasionally fly off and hit him, which will help me a bit, because if he doesn't know how to prepare for the ghosts or how to counter them, then he's probably going to panic vanish a few times. And as you can see here, I've pretty much drained his entire stamina bar. So now I have a pretty decent idea that he's going to vanish as soon as he has 2 bars of stamina, and he just did. And then I used this stamina break, which again I really shouldn't have done that, because now I'm going to give him an opportunity to get his full stamina back. I try and fail to hit him with the Die Missile Barrage twice, and in a moment he's going to go for a second Giant Storm. But thankfully, Giant Storm is just way too slow to be able to track the homing dash, so I use it and break his guard. And now, because I've got no stamina myself, I've got no other choice than to use the basic light combo. But thankfully, I'm able to hit him with the fully charged basic Rush Key Blast, so that's going to do a fair bit of damage on him. I knew he was going to vanish here, and if you watch carefully, you'll actually see me go for the back hit, but I was just too slow. And in a moment, I'm going to start playing seriously in this fight, because, well, you'll see why. In a moment, he'll go for a third Giant Storm, probably because it hit the first time he used it, and now he's thinking that, well, it hit the first time, it didn't hit the second time, but it still hit the first time, so maybe it'll work again. And it does. So I tried to get a perfect block off there, and I completely failed. So now I have to start playing seriously. So I turned Super Saiyan 3. I have a decent idea on when he's going to vanish, so I counter it, and now he has no stamina, and I just finish him off with Superman Dance. That was a very close fight, but a very good and enjoyable fight, so GG to that guy. Moving on to the next fight, this guy picks Goku, and it's the variation that has Warp Kamehameha. So he went for the charge as soon as the match started, so I dashed up to him and broke his guard. So now I'm going to be able to get an advantage on him very early on in the fight. I notice he vanishes after every few hits, so I'm going to keep that in mind. And in a moment, I'm going to break his guard for a second time, and now he must be very salty. I decided not to use any of my stamina while his is recharging, just so I don't give myself a small disadvantage in terms of stamina. So here he's going to turn Super Saiyan 1, and I feel sorry for this guy. I perfectly blocked the transformation, then I broke his guard for a third time. Right now I'm in an amazing position. I've got max ki, max stamina, and I even have maximum health. In a moment when his stamina recharges, he's going to go for the Warp Kamehameha. And given how much health I have, I decided to try and perfect block it, but I completely failed there. Like I've already said, I've noticed that this guy will vanish after every few hits, and here I hit him once and then I just stood still, and then he vanished again. If you can work out your opponent's vanishing patterns, that's halfway to winning the fight, to be honest. I blocked the Kamehameha, then he vanishes again, and at this point he is in serious trouble. He is now low on health, stamina and ki. I went for the stamina break, which failed, then I got a nice perfect block off, and I went for another stamina break, but then he hits me with the full power energy blast volley. So I decided to use the energy shield for a moment, because like I already said at the start of the video, it's very inefficient to use. So here I go for a stamina reset, because well, honestly, I can get away with it, I can afford to. I went for the Stardust Breaker there, expecting it to hit for some stupid reason, which it's got absolutely zero tracking on it, and it's a very bad ultimate to use in my opinion. It's just not worth it. So now I know it's going to vanish, so I immediately go for the Pressure Sign, which just looks so disrespectful. And now I'm going to finish him off with the basic Rush Volley, and that's going to be game. Once the first Ki Blast hit him, there was absolutely nothing he could do. He had nowhere near enough stamina to be able to use an evasive, and that's just unfortunate for him. Going into the next fight, I had 3 fights with this guy, and I'm going to show them all because I thought that was all really good, and this fight was so close. It was really cool. So notice he's got Frieza's Supernova and Last Emperor. Last Emperor can be good in a situation where you've got no health and it's like a desperation attack, but it's not really the most efficient attack to use, and the only way you're going to hit with a Supernova in PvP is if your opponent is in the recovery animation. Don't get me wrong, they are 2 very strong ultimate attacks, but they are just too slow to use. It's like using a Super Spirit Bomb. The reality is you're just never going to be able to hit your opponent with it. So an attack that this guy has that's going to cause me a lot of trouble in this series of fights is the Kaioken Kamehameha. So here I continued that combo by using stamina, and I really shouldn't have. And then I went for the Super Mad Dance, and he just flies away like it's nothing. So here I did try and go for a stamina reset, but I just wasn't fast enough, and I didn't click the button properly, I don't think, so I didn't dash to use stamina. So here I go for the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, and I'm thinking there's absolutely no way he's going to try and hit me while he's still getting his stamina recharged. So I'm able to set up the ghosts. So here I go for the basic Rush Volley, and he must have blocked. To begin with, I thought he turned Super Saiyan 1, but he didn't, considering, well, just look, he's not a Super Saiyan. Unless he turns Super Saiyan so he'll get invincibility frames, because his stamina did drain there when he was blocking, so maybe he used Super Saiyan 1 as the invincibility frames, then went back to his base form. If he did do that, that would be a very smart strategy, and I may just steal that. So here he turned Super Saiyan 2, I realised this, so then I used the homing dash, then hit him with the Stardust Breaker, and it barely hit him, but it still did a fairly decent amount of damage. So here, when he gets his stamina recharge, he's going to go for the hyper movement, and I tried to perfect block it, which you can actually do, but now that's basically the turning point in this match. For all intents and purposes now, I've lost. So just right before my stamina does recharge, he hits me with the Kaioken Kamehameha, and that's going to do a ton of damage. Now something very interesting happens here. I get 2 perfect blocks off. The first one is just when he tries to hit me, and the second one is when he tries to dash into me, and we start to clash. So now he's got his stamina broken, so I'm thinking, well great, I've won. So I go for the Stardust Breaker again, he completely misses, so I dash up to him. I have to use the energy shield as he uses the Kaioken Kamehameha. He goes for another hyper movement, I try to block it, and then at that point when my stamina was broken, all he would take is 1 hit to finish me off. That was a very fun fight, I seriously did enjoy that. Like what I said previously, I had 2 more fights with this guy and they were really fun, so I'm going to let them play out on their own. So that being said, thank you guys for watching so far, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.